What's up, Carnival Spirits? It's TJ, and I'm back up on Spirits of the Dark Carnival for another live stream. Today I'm going to be joined by Reverend Rite, and we're going to chop it up about the Juggalo March. We had a conversation in a live stream on YouTube, and so this is the follow-up where we're going to recap, and we're just going to reflect and share stories.
This thing
Wow,
is not loving
that's a
me,
good
bro.
point, man.
Hold on, let me move my chubby fingers. There you go.
You're good. You're good, man.
Yeah, my feet was not loving me. And you hear the sound of my voice.
All right, nice. We're in business. So everybody, this is Reverend Rite. If you don't know, we're live on Facebook this time. I told the live stream over on YouTube that I'm gonna rip this video and put it up on YouTube when we're done, because some of those ninjas don't have Facebook, which is really weird. I don't know who has YouTube but not a Facebook. Usually it's the other way around. People have a Facebook, people don't have YouTube. But
now my homie, he's a CTN, which is your hackers in the Navy. He don't do Facebook.
I'm being told that we're getting feedback on your side. If you have a speaker, maybe you should turn it down so we don't hear me echo.
Yeah, I'll turn my speaker down a little bit.
I mean, ideally, if you had headphones, that would be better, but I think if you just turn your volume down, it should be fine.
Is that good?
Yeah, I don't hear my echo anymore.
Okay, good.
Good.
Echo.
All right, so Beastmaster and Reverend Rite in the echo side.
Whoop, whoop. Or the echo less side at this point.
All right, we're good. So let's kick off this conversation, man, officially. No more bullshit.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're now 1 week after the Juggalo March, and we had a conversation before the march, and if you guys want to see that video, it's over on CarnivalSpirits on our YouTube channel, and now I want to get your thoughts and feelings about how the march went down, and really I just want to hear what you have to say in general, because like this is a once in a lifetime event.
Most definitely, man. Honestly, as soon as you walked into the place, you could feel the energy, and that's the big takeaway. Just all these different walks of life, family. I went to the little coffee shop, to the little breakfast deal, and as soon as I walked up, they started with the interviews. The lady doing the documentary wanted to interview, and my wife was kind of getting pissed because when we were at the thing, I couldn't walk 5 feet without someone wanting a picture or an interview. And it's honestly, we spoke volumes. I don't think people understand the historicness of what we managed to do. When the other organizations put out their expected attendance, they said that, well, we're only expecting, like our permit said 3,000 people, and Moore's permit was like, they said something between 5 or 10. They were giving estimates. The whole world, the eyes were on Juggalos.
Yeah.
We blanketed the area. And I'm giving guesstimates on size. I would say that there was probably about 20,000 heads, and I'm guessing that based off of, you can fit 5,000 sailors in a hangar bay of an aircraft carrier.
Okay.
Now, a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, you can put 5,000 sailors in the hangar bay for quarters, because we do it on deployment. And you take that size of an aircraft carrier's hangar bay, and you look at from where the Lincoln Monument was, bring it on down towards the stage. That's about 2 hangar bay pools right there. And then on each side, that's another hangar bay here and another hangar bay here. That's about 20,000 people.
I guess I really I heard different numbers, but I have no fucking clue, man. I just know that we were packed in there.
I mean, like I said, I'm guesstimating. I mean, I'm basing off of size. There's no way to get real numbers, you know. I mean, I'm guessing way off there. I could be way off base. I mean, who knows? But still, at the same time, Nicholas is joking me. Hang bay.
Well, you know what? I'm just going to tell everybody there was 200,000 juggalos at the march, because that's what it felt like. The karma was so incredible. And, you know, whether it was 20,000 or just 17 of us, every single one of us represented and kept it real. Like, I love the peanut gallery and how there's only a few people I've noticed that are still on some hater shit, even though, like, they just can't stand the fact that we pulled it off, that we didn't clap.
They can't stand, you know, and that's everywhere you go, man. You could be doing good. I could sit there and lay brick gold diamonds. Yeah, I'm making shit up, but whatever. Brick gold in a row for juggalos and say, this is for you. Bam! Brick gold. Line up. And someone will still walk up and go, well, you know, this side's a little uneven. You know? Fucking, we set a goal and we did it.
Yep.
You know? Okay, there wasn't a million juggalos there. But you know what? There was enough that they had to fly a freaking helicopter to take a look at us.
Well, all right, look, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant how many people showed up, because there was a huge show of support. Every photograph you saw of the march, like just the plethora of walks of life. And you know what I like the most is the signs, man. All those signs. And the first you know, photo album on Facebook that I clicked through, I saw signs in those photos that I didn't even see in person, because there were so many juggalos there. I didn't even get to see every sign and every juggalo. There were juggalos that I knew who were there, and I didn't even see them. That's how many fucking people were there.
The media loves CPN signs.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I made that sign.
Oh, you made that sign? They love that sign.
Well, when I brought all my sign material to the hotel in the morning of the march, I fucking made like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I made like 9 signs all in like 15 minutes. I was fucking just like fucking. I busted out those signs. I went so fast, I wasn't even checking my spelling. I didn't give a fuck. I just made them as fast as I could. And
you know what? I can't stand spell Nazis, and I'm gonna call them spell Nazis, because if you got the message, if you understood, you know, who cares if you spelled it wrong?
Well, you know what? I said this the other day.
Okay.
This is what I said on our Saturday live stream. It all goes back to what Violent J said at the Gathering seminar that is included with the Wraith. When he talks about, like, you know when you're in love and you stub your toe and you're like, that hurts, but it's not that bad. And, you know, and also the whole being a clown means that it's okay to fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, we're not perfect in this motherfucker. And it almost makes it more juggalo to misspell a word, whether it's on purpose or not. And it did not stop the media from eating that shit up. I mean, that picture of me in CPN made it to Full Frontal with Samantha B, and it is now the most viewed thing that I've ever done in my life. All in one day, it has the viewership of that sign is like 200 times more viewed than my Juggalo speech on the Dark Carnival, which has like 300,000 views. So we went viral last weekend, and we did it screaming to the fucking mountaintops that juggalos are not a gang, you know? And I love what Violent J said in his speech, where he's like, you can feel it that we're not wrong this time, or however he said. He's like this time we're right. Like we.
Lauren. It's true though. It's true. You know, we were passionate about what we were saying, and you know, as they call us, the First Amendment warriors. We are the First Amendment warriors. We are the every aspect of society that you can see in its kaleidoscope, and speaking in one voice against discrimination, no matter what kind of discrimination that you're talking about here. People were talking about the thing with the NFL. I don't want to get too much into that because there's a lot of butthurtness going on with that.
I'm sorry, butthurt with what?
With the NFL situation and the people standing and kneeling and all that stuff. And I told folks, I said the freedom goes across the board. It's whether you like it or you don't. It doesn't matter. Freedom doesn't care if you're popular or you're not popular.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
freedom's free.
That's kind of the point that we made, and that I'm super glad that a lot of media outlets and celebrities are kind of, you know, admitting that, we may not like ICP and we may not, you know, necessarily gel with Juggalos, but you got to give it to them. You know, they are standing up for all of our rights as Americans. Like you can't pigeonhole one group of people as a loosely hybrid gang just because we all wear like the same, you know, insignias and jerseys, and we rep the similar tattoos, and we get together and have big ass family barbecues, and you know that's exactly what football fans do when they tailgate and they go to their you know, to their church every Sunday to watch grown men hit each other.
There is more violence in athletic sports than there is with concerts or anything Juggalo or anything. You know, in the hip hop scene, there's more violence with sports.
You know, it's not even an issue of like, oh, sports fans are more violent than hip hop fans. That's not even the issue on the table. Like, people have a perception of Juggalos that, you know, they're scumbags or they're, you know, whatever, inbred, losers, scrubs. They're not wrong most of the time, but we're still not a gang. We're allowed to like shitty music. We're allowed to
like us or hate us.
Yeah, and
we're still not a gang.
Now, when it comes to football, like I was saying, like how many people go to church every Sunday? And when I say church, I mean they go to the television or they go to the football arena and they worship grown men giving each other concussions for fucking $1 million paychecks. And so I don't even give a shit to talk about that scandal and protest. Like, if we're allowed to protest our rights, you know, as Juggalos, I think a football player is allowed to protest as well. So, but if people are out there getting butthurt about standing for the national anthem, you gonna tell me that you actually stand up in your fucking living room for that national anthem? Your ass is on the sofa.
And what I tell folks is there's a old Vietnam veteran. He told me, I don't have to like what you're into, but I'll fight for the death for your right to be into it. I don't gotta like them standing. I hate it. I despise it. Whenever I see anyone mishandle a American flag as a veteran, I despise it. It irks me the wrong way. However, that's their freedom. I don't have to like it. I can hate it to the core of my being, but enjoy your freedom, because my brothers and I have sacrificed, my brothers and sisters and I have sacrificed for your right to do that. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't have to like it.
Well, that's why I don't take it too hard when people troll Juggalos, like straight up, like, you know, harass and bully Juggalos. It's almost like you have a right to be an asshole. It's just that when it comes to relentless, like kind of like stalker mentality. You know what I mean? Like I think there's like a silver lining to being bullied.
There's a line.
Makes you, it teaches you a lesson. It teaches you how to be tough. You know, it's like catfishing, right? The people out there that are fake and they're pretending to be but they're stirring it up, and you know they're you got to stay on your toes. You don't know who's real and who's fake, even behind the paint. You know.
You know, and you can go so much further than that, because well, the march has brought up a lot of conversations, and I think after the march that we are beginning to communicate more as a family now to address these issues. And one of the issues, like you're talking about, is how what do you define family as? You know, a person can sit there and play and I've seen it, they play the family card. Yo, homie, let me stay in your house. We're family, this, that, and the other. Yo, homie, you let them in good conscience. You let them into your home because they're family, and then they steal from you, you know? Now, granted, in some cases, that's probably rare. You know, and it might happen to a few select individuals and this, that, and the other. I know when we were having the church back in the day, I had 80 heads a Sunday showing up at my house, and nobody stole shit. And the one time that something went missing, all the juggalos there were pissed because they're like, yo, Rev lets us into his house, man. He feeds us. He gives us food. He gives us drink. He, you know, whenever he's got the money to do things, he does stuff with us or for us, you know. And no one should be taking shit, you know.
Yeah, you got to be careful because there's always going to be you know, a wolf in sheep's clothing, so to speak, and I think that's something that is common in the Juggalo underground or in the Juggalo nation, because we make so much noise and we have so much fun, and we have such a ruckus, wild, fun time that we draw people to us for different reasons. Some people are just lonely and sad, and they're like, oh my God, I want to have fun, and you know, I want to connect, because human beings are creatures that want to be with each other. We all kind of naturally want to be around other people. It's just hard to find it's hard to find your tribe when you're different, when you're, especially if you've got disabilities or some sort of you know, anxieties or trust issues. And so when you got a big old Juggalo family, I'm putting up air quotes here, see my sporadic air quotes, Juggalo family. Yep. So when you got a big old Juggalo family, you got to watch out for the wolves in sheep's clothing, people that are just there to prey on your generosity, on your kind-heartedness. And there's also people that are just trying to sell drugs. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, sweet, here's a party. I'm going to go and infiltrate and pretend I'm down just so I can make some money.
There's a dime bag, whoop, you know, or whatever, you know.
I remember when I was down in Florida for the Tombstone Terror Tour back in 2004. I think it was 2004. Maybe it was 2005. But Blaze Your Dead Homie was the headliner. He had like, you know, Low Key was on that tour. I think Axe Murder Boys, maybe Psycho Jesus, and I visited my best friend in Florida. They had an after party at Gandy Beach, which is, you know, it was just, the whole beach was one big Juggalo after party. People were kicking it with Blaze and, you know, and Pickle, and Axe Murder Boys were standing all by themselves because nobody wanted to hang out with them. But Blaze had a big old circle around him, and everyone was passing around blunts. It was awesome. I remember this guy who was basically walking around like he was acting like he was a Juggalo, but I was skeptical, and he was trying to sell drugs to me, and I was like, hey, who put the chicken on the plate and put it in the fridge? And he goes, "Oh man, yeah, man, that's what's up." And I'm like, "You just failed the fucking test, bro." He did not know what I was doing, and I quizzed him by throwing that out there, and all he needed to say was "Shaggy Two Dope."
Waiting for the automatic
that he
response.
was family.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that it's kind of funny, but that's all it takes. Just quiz him with a fucking lyric.
Yeah. But you know, I went to the Gather in 2005. I was wearing my minister attire, and I was sitting down. They had like a little, kind of like a little rocky area that was close by where the beach was. And I was just sitting down on the rocks, just, you know, people watching, saying what up to family as they're walking by, you know, just taking a rest because I'm an old man, you know. And this kid sits down next to me and goes, "Yo, homie, you got some acid?" I'm full on. I got the white collar and shit, the cross, all. And I looked at him and go, "Did you just ask me if I have acid?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you just asked the priest if he has acid." He was like, "I thought it was a costume." I'm like, "No." All right. And he just ran off. I'm like, "Dude, we're here at the Gather, and I understand that that's the time to let your hair down. You know, if you have hair, I don't have no hair. You know, let your hair down and let loose and be with family. I get that. But we have a problem as a community with drugs in general. And I'm not talking about weed. Weed's not a drug to me, you know. I'm talking about, you know, like we are saying, the opiates, the heroin, you know, it's claiming lives, man. There's a serious issue. The methamphetamine, it's taking people out, you know.
When you say in our community, you don't mean the Juggalo community. You mean the overall community, because it's bigger than it's bigger than just Juggalo.
Yeah, it's bigger than just Juggalo. But my point with that is, and I was talking to a reporter. I says, we got the same things that we need to work on as every other culture. We got the same triumphs and we have the same failures as every other culture. We're no different. The only thing is we listen to different music. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, but we're no different as a culture.
It's like McEnhoes just said, 75% of Juggalos are basically are basic fans that don't live this shit like we do. And that's true. You know, the actual, like, I guess you could call them super Juggalos are few and far between, and they're the diehards that show up at all these special, you know, anniversary events. And, you know, when I go to a Juggalo show, it feels like a whole big crowded room full of like newbies. But then everywhere I look, there's an OG, there's a down ass motherfucker that I met 10 years ago. That motherfucker right there, I've seen in fucking, you know, Illinois a few times. You know, it's like, what up, dude? Good to see you again. Like, and I've actually, in the past 20 years, I've grown so close to so many Juggalos that it's surreal. The community that we have, the bond that we have.
Yeah, you go someplace anywhere, run into somebody. You know, I ran into my little homegirl, Emily Pan. She was running around, and I ran into her. I didn't recognize her at first because she had face paint on. I'm like, talking to this guy. She's like, Rev. And I'm like, normally when someone says that, they know me. So I'm like, who said that? But it's surreal, like you said. I mean, it's our family and our community. You know, you have the difference between fans and family. You know, and family, you recognize them every time you show up, because if you don't go up to them, they come up to you. Right. You know, and they're everywhere. You know, you can go anywhere. There was a ninja I was talking to, way back in 2000. Back when, I don't know if you remember Church of the Dark Carnival back in the day, the Yahoo group that they had. Anyways.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he was a homie off of there. And, you know, we've been talking for a while. While I went to the gathering, me and my homeboy was standing there, and he had a shit ton of fucking beer, man, just a shit ton of beer just sitting out. And he's waiting for the golf cart to come up to help bring the beer to his tent site, and he's like, "Damn, I can't bring all this fucking beer, and we're waiting and waiting." So me and my brother were like, "Well, we'll help you carry this shit up there." And we helped him load his fucking beer up, walked it up the fucking trail for him, set it down at his campsite, and while we're walking, he goes, you know Rev? I said, dude, I am Rev. And he was like, no fucking shit. And he gave me his screen name. And I'm like, no fucking shit. I called this motherfucker while I was on deployment. And was like, what are you doing right now? He's like, I'm fucking chilling. What are you doing? I said, I'm on duty in the Persian Gulf. You know, I'm using one of the little sailor sat phones they had to call your family. I was bored. What are you doing? Well, nothing. I'm in the Gulf. What are you doing?
That's funny. Yeah, I want to also throw out there that it's not about how long you've been down. It's about how sincere you are about your passion and your respect for everybody's differences as well as our similarities. Because you know we all have a very similar high interest area with the music and the entertainment aspect. But we also have our own specific favorites. You know, some people really like that murderous, you know, bloody, wicked shit. Some people like more of the more heartfelt, like meaningful, spiritual side. Some people really connect with, you know, those stories that they tell that are relatable, the ones that are more down to earth, the ones that are about like, you know, abuse and in the struggle and, you know, in the perseverance or at least the fantasy of vengeful, you know, that vengeful, like, I'm going to get you back for the shit you did to me, that venting thing that happens when you listen to that music.
Yeah.
You know? To each their own. And I don't begrudge anybody for liking a certain artist that I don't like, because in this Juggalo underground, it's kind of spread to be more than just about ICP, which is fine. But I'm just saying, I'm one of those Juggalos that was into ICP and everybody else was fucking disposable. Everybody, you know what I mean? I'm there for ICP, but then I've grown to appreciate what all these other artists bring to the table, and especially when they collaborate and you know, you see newer fans come into this and they look at it like, wow, look at all these artists and shit, and you know, and they're like, oh, ABK is my favorite, or you know, I love Twisted, and they're like, yeah, and ICP's good too, and I'm like, bitch, what do you mean? Why are you putting ICP on the side? They're number one, motherfucker. But then I gotta step back and chill and realize, okay, not everybody is on my level, and I have to respect and you know, I just have to accept that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we got into conversation, and I had to. There was a lot of, I guess you want to call guff that was coming back to the people who didn't show up to the march, and I made a distinction. I said there was those who couldn't go, and those who wouldn't go. Couldn't meaning you had a job responsibility. And there was some legitimate fears or legitimate anger with these other groups that were out there, you know, and folks didn't, you know, were worried about violent reactions or this, that, and the other. You know, there were situations like that, you know, folks who couldn't.
Do you remember when ICP first put out the Juggalo March website and it had the list of everybody that they were calling out to join?
Yeah.
And then do you remember the first artist that responded with declines to joining the march? Like, for example, Isham put out a statement saying that he did not want to put himself in any position that may bring harm to himself or his family. In other words, he was afraid of going to the march.
Yeah.
And then
that's legitimate, you know.
Yeah, and then you have the ROC, who basically said that he, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but he came out with an official statement declining the march, saying that that he doesn't participate in those type of things, and that he doesn't even participate in those type of things for his people, he said, for black rights and whatnot. And he goes, and that's something that I have to, you know, work out with God myself. And I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, these guys have their reasons, and it's okay if they don't want to join. I have a bigger problem with everybody who lashes out at each other for their decisions. If you make a decision and you stand by your decision, you're in your right. But if you start coming down on people and hating on them for the decision they made, it's actually you are the person that's the problem, not them for not doing what you wanted them to do. People are only going to do what they want to do. They're not going to do what you want to do, you know? You can only control yourself. Some people need to fucking slow their roll. And on the internet, it's the wild, wild west, man. But when you go to a show, it's a completely different situation. Because try telling me to my face, or, you know, try talking that tough talk in person. People don't act like that. You know what I mean? Maybe they do, but they don't do it.
We got keyboard warriors out there.
Yeah. I agree, man. There were people that really thought that shit was going to hit the fan, that Juggalos and I don't know, Trump supporters were going to have a big fucking brawl or something, or that.
I think if the media knew it was going to be straight up peaceful, they probably wouldn't even have showed up at all. They were waiting for some shit to happen. And then they came there and they saw all this peace going on. They're like, well, wait, what's really going on?
Right. Well, and like you said, interviewers were all over that shit, interviewing Juggalos left and right. You said that you did some interviews. I did some interviews. I talked. I actually let my homies do much of the talking because we had Vice reporters come to the hotel and film us in the hotel, and they filmed them in the morning getting ready. And I didn't have any part of that because I was busy making signs. And quite frankly, I just wanted to get to the march. And then once I got to the march, then I started talking to reporters. But I didn't really say much. I mean, I was in the interview with McEnhose, but I only chimed in once in a while to whatever. I let him do all the talking because it was really, he's the one that had a story to tell. Me, I just represent Juggalos, and you know, I don't have any type of story about being you know, persecuted or whatever. I've never been you know, arrested, and well, I mean, I have been arrested, and they took pictures of my tattoos, but I didn't have any Juggalo tattoos at the time, so I wasn't put in the gang database. You know? And plus, that was before.
The issues that I was encountering happened prior to and at the time that the march came out. I shared a story about we had a neighbor who was a middle school student, and this when the church was really going good. She was her brother. I met her through her brother's Juggalo, you know, so brother and sister Juggalo across the street or across the way, and she started pounding on my door about 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, you know, what the hell? Who's pounding on my door? Open up, it's her. She's in tears, and I'm like, what happened? And apparently at school, they had gathered up all the Juggalo students and did locker searches and strip searches without their parents' permission. And I was like, holy shit. So I was about to bring down the thunder, man, when she told me that. I was heated. But I was calling around, you know, who do I talk to? Finally, I wrote a letter to the school and said, look, I get it. You know, safety of your students is paramount, and I understand that. You know, but as a culture and as a people, you know, we're not a violent people. I'd be happy to sit down with you and do a Q&A and talk about some of the concerns that you might have, you know, but I don't think it's right for you to discriminate against all these Juggalo students and take this kind of activity, you know. And I mentioned, I said, if we can keep down this road, we're going to have to, like, you know, start talking about boycotts and protests and stuff like legal action, you know. And the thing that was fucked up is instead of them reaching out to me and saying, okay, Reverend, let's talk about, we don't know about Juggalos. Tell me what you think about Juggalos. They went ahead and contacted my naval command. And I had to sit down in front of NCIS. Every aircraft carrier has an NCIS agent, and explain to them, oh, what's Juggalo? Is this a terrorist organization? Are you guys gang members? Who gives you the right to talk about freedom and religion and people's rights and being a Juggalo? What is all this, you know? And seriously, I mean, they were talking about sending me to captain's mast, talking about taking away rank, take away money, you know, and I'm like, all because I stood up, you know, for my family, stood up for these kids.
So when you were interviewed, did you talk about these things? Did you spill these beans on camera?
Yeah, I talked about that, and I talked about when the FBI assessment first came out. I was working at the National Security Agency on the NSOC watch floor. My job was I was the tech senior coordinator working for the Office of Weapons and Space. So, you know, and ballistic missiles, strange new technology, stuff like that, that would cross my desk. And I went to go smoke and came back, and a lot of FBI's intel comes across my desk because we all kind of, here's a stack of intel, what pertains to you, you know, what's this, what's that. Somebody dropped the assessment on my desk because they knew I was a Juggalo. And I walked back, and the watch floor is pretty quiet. We try to maintain a certain level of, you know, people quietly working, and here's my sailor mouth. What the fuck is this shit? So my coworkers are like, you know, they laughing at me about, you know, hey, did you know you're a gang member? And I'm like, no, I work 100, literally the director of NSA at the time, General Alexander, his office where he's interacted with us was literally 100 feet from where I sat. Once a week he did intel stand-up, a director stand-up, and the Joint Chiefs would pass by my desk, you know, and I'm like, so you can't tell me I'm a violent MS-13-ish, blood crip-ish Juggalo gang member, and you got me sitting within arm's reach of the fucking Joint Chiefs. I can just reach out, you know?
Well, I mean, everybody needs to know that some bullshit went down, and there's a lot of bullshit out in the world. This just happens to be one part of the bullshit. And
yeah,
I think that the march itself was wildly successful because it started a national conversation that finally didn't have anything to do with the question of how magnets work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
because
my God. Every time.
Juggalos are always going to be a punchline, but not the kind of punchline where it's like we wanted to show our true colors, and our true colors is that we're completely innocent of what we've been charged. It's not to say that we still might, you know, be a little crazy, fanatical, like we like to dance in Fago rain and, you know, paint our faces. If you know who Anthony Fantano is, the Needle Drop, he's a very well-known YouTube music reviewer, and he made a video about this march, you know, explaining how Juggalo's freedoms are everybody's freedoms, and you know, it's like to hear someone like him come out and co-sign our plight means the world to me, because I know that he does not like ICP's music. He doesn't fuck with Juggalo music. He reviews all types of music, and he refuses to review that music. And that tells me that if he can even respect what we're going through and translate that to his audience, that's a win for us. You know, and in the media, all those news outlets, they're all kind of like, okay, well, shit, we didn't see this coming. It was peaceful. It makes sense. It is, you know, it's just amazing what we pulled off. And I don't care what any of the haters say. Like, if you're gonna nitpick signs or attitudes or outfits or anything like that, you're the one that is acting like a crab in a barrel. You don't want to see anybody else shine. You got to take out your fucking shitty attitude on us to try to diminish our shine. It's not going to work. We're too fucking shiny.
That's right. My favorite thing that I saw was the man. He had to have been 70 or 80 years old, in the wheelchair, with the Joker card hat on, with the kaleidoscope and different, ICP hat on, with his granddaughter playing on his lap with face paint. That right there, this guy's probably a veteran, World War II style, when I was walking up with the signs, I had my Navy ball cap. The World War II vets were leaving, and I was saying hello, hey, how you doing? Saw a Navy guy, said shipmate. He looked at me, shipmate, And another guy had another great story. He had another a veteran sit next to him, old guy, say, "You keep on fighting." The thing, I got to be honest, for me personally, when I was watching the feedback and watching the videos and the different photos that everyone was taking, I got emotional, straight up legit. I don't know if I had a PTSD panic attack. I don't know. Tears streaming when France put out their post about us. When I saw the struggle and the fight written in French.
I didn't say that. Could you do me a favor and share that in the Ninjas in Action group on Facebook, man? Because I would love to see that.
I'll share it, man. I was and to me, I was in tears because it's not just the U.S. It's not, the world has fucking hurt us.
Right. Right. Well, I went to, people know I went to Norway this summer. When I was in Norway, we had a lot of conversations with my relatives in Norway, my Norwegian family, about America and about Trump. And I'm not going to reiterate all those conversations, but we're a very special country. I mean, all our the positives and the negatives of America, we are a force to be reckoned with over here. And I think a lot of people take their freedom for granted. They really do.
Yes.
And I feel like, I mean, I'm 100% Norwegian. All four of my grandparents were born in Norway. So when I go to Norway, I look like I belong there. I feel at home there. Everybody looks like they're my family member. People try to talk to me in Norwegian, and I'm like, sorry, American. They're like, really? What's your name? And I'm like, Torleif. And then they're like, what? Like, but
my last name is Norwegian.
Really?
I have a weird background. I'm half Scottish, Irish, Scotsman, more Scotsman than I am Irish, and half Mexican. But my father who raised me, he was Norwegian, and our last name is Fanes. His name was Lonnie Burnell Fanes. Okay. So I get or is it Fanes? Is it Fannies? Some guy called me fine ass. I had to sit in the back. I don't know.
Yeah. So how exactly is it pronounced? I've never heard it out loud before.
Fanes.
Fanes.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. People butcher my name all the time because it's got L-E-I-F, and we're trained to think, oh, well, that means leaf. And also, we're also trained to think like I before E, except after C, except mine is E-I, and that is pronounced a hard A sound. So my name is Torleif, not Torleaf, but I let it slide. That's the thing. My whole life, people have been mispronouncing my name. And so you're going to crawl up my ass because I misspelled Nickelback? Get the fuck out of here. Who cares? Like, you
can't even pronounce my name. Fuck you.
People I'm not a spelling Nazi. I mean, I get it. It's like some people are really obnoxious with their spelling, you know, but that's kind of like there's a cultural shift where kids are growing up on the internet. Texting is like a second language. And, you know, remember beepers where people use like 3 words or 3 letters or numbers, 3 numbers or 3 letters to like mean shit. There's codes. I mean, it's basically like we're speaking in internet code to each other. People abbreviate everything. You know, it's like second nature to throw a MCL at the end of a comment. Everybody knows that means much clown love, but
you guys supposed to do the much motherfucking wicked clown for life love, like 5 different freaking 12 different letters up there.
I've actually retired using that. Like I don't do that no more. If I do it, I just keep it simple. MCL. Yeah, I'm almost 40 years old. I got 1 more year in my 30s, and I'm tired of throwing motherfucker into everything I say because I don't need to do that. You know what I mean? I think that people they like to express themselves, but with the cursing and stuff, it becomes a little too much, and it loses its effect. It's not effect. It doesn't have the effect when you do it too much. But at the same time, it's freedom of speech, and we can fucking swear if we fucking want to. And, you know.
And you know it's crazy. In Virginia Beach, if you go down by the strip down there, when I was a young sailor, we used to ride through the strip and pick up chicks. That was the thing to do on the weekend, you know. And it's changed over the years. You can't cruise down there. You can't pass more than one spot. The cops will pull you over for cruising. But everywhere you go, you'll see signs that say no cursing.
Really?
And I'm like, you got no cursing signs in a tourist attraction, and the largest Navy base in the world is not 30 minutes away from the beach, and you're telling all these sailors and Marines don't curse.
Damn. I mean, isn't that like an old expression? You gotta mouth like a sailor. I've known that
like
expression my whole life.
Yep. The Navy's trying to get away from it. It's really changed. I came from, I joined the Navy in 1994. And the Navy that I joined was, they could still put their hands on you, you know? So when I was late for work or not show up or not do what I was supposed to do, there was only one authorized injury in the Navy, and that was to fall down a ladder well. It was the only injury that didn't require paperwork because it happened so often. People would slip and fall down these steep ladder wells. It wasn't uncommon for your chief or your first class to walk up behind you if you were a shitbag sailor and get kicked down a fucking ladder well. And it happened to me once when I was a shitbag sailor. I ended up at the bottom of the ladder well, and I heard the voice of Jesus, which sounded like my chief, go, "Show up to work on time." And I was like, "Yes, God."
Right.
But you know, and the Navy has changed now. You can't put your hands on nobody. You can't curse at nobody. You know, you got to be careful of people's feelings. I remember when it started to change. I was cursing. They used to call me because I had such a mouth on me. And I was, you know, I'm only 5'5". I'm this short, you know, nasty attitude dude. I had such a mouth on me. They'd call me up and say, "Hey, you need to straighten this guy out for me." I said, "What's the problem?" And they let me lay into this guy for, you know, a good 30 minutes. And I'd walk away and, you know, do the whole, "It's your fucking problem. You deal with this fucking bullshit," you know?
Yep.
I walked away.
I thought it was interesting that, you know, nobody held back their cuss words at the march, and I think it was very transparent and sincere of us to not try to, like, for lack of a better term, church it up. You know, we kept it real out there, and all the F-bombs, every speaker, like Violent J, And it's funny because I remember Buckshot came out and spoke, and he said something like, "I'm not supposed to curse." And I wonder if, like, you know, somebody like came up and told them, like, "Hey, you guys got to stop swearing." But of course, ICP was like, "Fuck that, we're gonna swear," you know.
So a fucking butthole shut.
Yeah, and then I don't know if you heard DJ Clay did the same thing. I was walking around with Miss Jinx filming around the area while DJ Clay was performing, and at one point he goes, "Well, they said I couldn't curse, but they didn't say I couldn't rap about drugs." And then he did some song, and I'm like,
there was one. Me and the wife were trying to find our vehicle, and we ended up getting lost and had to walk all the way back. You know, but while we're walking around the grounds, I heard this guy giving a speech, and what killed me was we're trying to get rid of the gang, you know, affiliation, you know, and he was talking about how they're paying the gang members in LA to not commit crimes, which is bullshit. Yeah. And then he said, "Well, why don't you give us the $5 million and we'll go fuck them up?" And I'm like, "Really, bro?" You know, that does not help the situation.
Well, I actually I post images on CarnivalSpirits Instagram all the time, and when I was at the hotel on Friday night, I got pictures of everybody who was chilling with us, and I put them all together, like kind of like the Brady Bunch, you know what I mean? 9 different images all in one square, and I had everybody around me, and I was in the middle, and I threw up the wicked clown, the W and the C, and somebody commented like, "Yo, don't be throwing gang signs up at the anti-gang rally. I'm talking to you, guy in the middle." And I'm thinking to myself, well, first of all, let me check and see what this guy posts on his Instagram. And it's all like cannibal corpse, bloody sexual, like gross demon shit. And I'm like, you have the right to post that disgusting shit. Just like I have the right to throw up the wicked clown. The whole point is that it doesn't matter what kind of hand gestures I throw up. It still doesn't change the fact that we're not a gang, you know? And how many times have you seen kids at frat parties and high schools throwing up gang signs because they think it's cool?
Everybody does, man.
Yeah,
everybody
does. And for example, the whole like drooping your pants thing, I think that started in prison, and then all of a sudden, you know, everybody in the streets is letting their pants sag, but they ain't never done no hard time. It's all monkey see, monkey do out there in the world. Nobody is original. Everybody is copying somebody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pants sag thing, the original meaning was that's you telling your boyfriend that you're good to go.
Little did you know.
Here you go. There it is. Come get it.
God damn. You're right. I mean, it's kind of sad, but people are ignorant, and some people, they are just completely content to be ignorant. Like, they are willfully ignorant. They don't want to learn nothing, and that's where you get a lot of clashing of ideologies when no one's actually listening to each other. They're just talking at each other and waiting to speak instead of actually listening and stepping outside of their own shoes and seeing things from a different perspective, allowing themselves to try to understand where other people are coming from. I'll tell you this, man. My father is a reverend and a minister and a psychologist, and he used to work at a mental institution where he actually worked with troubled youth, you know, people with schizophrenia, like actual deformed, like people with water heads and crazy people. And every Christmas they would have a jamboree in the church where they would all show up and sing songs, you know, have whatever, sing-alongs, poetry. And I grew up, you know, exposed to these people that are true outcasts in society, like real motherfucking misfits, not just a kid that's misunderstood and feels emo and no one understands that his love for Nirvana or Marilyn Manson and
you're talking about the kids with progeria
or locked up and they throw away the fucking key because they can't function in society. And so when I look at the Juggalo Underground and I see people crawling up each other's asses for the most insignificant, petty bullshit, I'm just like, you don't get it. You missed the point completely. You don't belong in the freak show. You're actually one of the squares on the outside that are pointing and laughing at the three-ring circus. You ain't in the fucking three-ring circus. You don't understand it. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, man. People need to be a little more tolerant and don't give me no quotes from no ICP song saying, well, what about what Jay said here and there? Motherfucker, you are dumb.
And that's one of the things during the interviews I was trying to explain to these guys. I said, I know that all you hear about us is ICP, and you hear an ICP lyric, and you got to understand that we're separated from, their family, and it's a big part of our culture, but they're not us. You know what I'm saying? And when they say something in an album, that's entertainment. That's trying to focus. When we listen to that, we're taking our aggression, and we're focusing it on the music and not letting it manifest on society,
It's kind of like with movies and TV shows. A lot of people enjoy entertainment, but there's a certain type of person that does not like to feel stupid. So when they're watching a movie that's a little bit more complicated in its plot, or it's got like a mystery to it. Have you ever noticed that certain people are like, oh, fuck that show. That show's stupid. But really what it is that they don't understand it and they don't like feeling stupid because they're not getting it. And I almost feel like ICP on different levels gives you exactly what you need. I was talking to Miss Jinx about this yesterday. Here's my theory. ICP is the greatest fucking band on this planet because they are allowing themselves to be whatever it is you need them to be in your life. For me, I'm a super fan. I need them to entertain me with their music and the lore of the Dark Carnival. But there's some people out there that need a punching bag. They need a scapegoat. They need somebody to be angry at. And ICP allows themselves to be that. You see what I'm saying?
Never had a problem with that.
ICP has never come out and yelled at juggalos or been like retaliated at the backlash on them. I see Monoxide fucking getting all pissed about haters, and I'm like, dude, didn't you fucking work with Psychopathic for over a decade? Don't you understand that you need to rise above that shit and not fucking lash out? Like, but then again, everyone's gonna do what they're gonna do. ICP are a lot better at being a punching bag if they need to be a punching bag. And I'm telling you, man, I respect the fuck out of ICP for what they do. And they fuck up all the time. They admit it. They're not perfect. I'm not into them for their personal fucking ideology. I'm there because I love what they built and I love the family that they fucking have fostered for all of us. What up, little kid?
That's my youngest son, Caden.
Say hello to the Juggalos.
Say whoop whoop. Say whoop whoop. You being shy?
It's all good, man. I want to give a shout out to Coma Black. I see him in the stream here.
Whoop whoop.
But yo, man, I don't know. I get really passionate about this stuff, and
well, let's talk about this when we're talking about where is the road ahead. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about what's next, we know that the district court was Cincinnati, and that's October 11th.
Okay.
And if that doesn't go through, then we're talking about the Supreme Court. You know, what's next? Not just when we're talking court dates, and we're talking. Are you still there?
You're breaking up a little bit.
When we're talking.
I think your connection.
The legal
shit the
aspects,
bed. You look
what's next for as the family goes. You know, we proved to ourselves that if we put our minds to something, that we can achieve and make it happen. And I would like to see us do more things and achieve and make it happen. You know, I want to see Juggalo schools. I want to see Juggalo doctors. I want to see, Darren with Juggalo Island, man. I want to see all these different things that we can come together and be that Juggalo culture and lift each other up from the ground and from these bad places and present opportunities to our own people.
Well, it's a work in progress, and it's always going to be tough because there's a lot of naysayers, but anything is possible when you put your mind to it, and it's just a matter of focusing and challenging, channeling that positive energy and keeping it real, man. People got to keep it real.
We were talking about the seminar, and ICP said, when we're dropping the rate, either you're with us or forget us. And I think now we're at the point of if you haven't figured out by now, the foundation of the sheer fact that we exist is family. And if you're not about family, either you're with us or forget us.
You know, that's easier said than done. And so far, I've noticed that a lot of ninjas have a hard time forgetting. Like they just can't walk away. It's so strange to say, but like it's almost like a guilty pleasure. And I think that the neg balls, I call them neg balls, the negative balls of shit, that they really it's kind of like if you got nothing better to do than to harp on what annoys you, that's your problem. But people want to make their problem your problem, you know what I mean? And I've got enough of my own problems. I don't need your problems. And so as much as I'm not even interested in like defending ICP's honor to non-juggalos, I don't really feel that compelled to do it to other juggalos. Like I don't, you know what I mean? If there's going to be some sort of bitch fest about what ICP did or what Violent J said, I'm going to let that happen and I'm going to stay out of it because it's really none of my business. As much of a super fan I am, I really am not interested in the whole Froth Magazine, TMZ, hound dog shit that people engage in. Most of these haters are straight up hound dogs in disguise. That's what they are. And
go ahead and what pissed me off, before I want to wrap this, I want to say this, because my wife had to calm me down when we were marching. As we were marching, Jay was behind me, and he was signing autographs. I didn't realize he was behind me. I looked back, then I looked again. Sugar Slam was right there. The two kids were there. Me and the wife kind of walked around the kids and this, that, and the other. And there's this dude behind me. And there's this dude behind me. And there goes that piece of shit Jay back there signing autographs. And immediately I started to say, piece of shit. I didn't see you pay for none of this shit. I didn't see you put nothing out for it. I didn't see you put yourself out there. You're not out there with the fucking people on the front lines doing some shit. I was getting mad, and the wife had to calm me down because I was about to turn the fuck around. Because I'm like, ain't nobody else, psychopathic, put money out. They lost money for this. They paid for that. We didn't lose it.
I missed it. What did this guy do?
Go ahead. I'm getting hit up.
I think we're losing him. I think you might be your battery might be dying or something. Because your camera's already cut out. But I didn't catch what this dude did to trigger you.
Basically, he was like, there's that piece of shit Jay behind me signing shit like his pussy ass, and I'm like, I got pissed because I'm like, he put out for this shit. Psychopathic put out for this shit. Ain't nobody else spent money on it.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's really hard to walk away. Like, either you're with us or forget us is it's a tall order, man. People have a hard time. It's almost like a love-hate relationship. It looks like we finally lost him, but that's cool. We had a great conversation. I want to give props to Reverend Rite for marching. He brought his family, and maybe he's back. I'll invite him one more time. We'll do a wrap up here. But yeah,
my battery's dying on me.
It's all good, man. I think we had a great conversation, and we can continue at another time if you want.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. I mean, I'm always open to have some conversation. I'm not messing with the kids, and my wife is actually hitting me up right now. So I'm like, I need to answer her. I'm gonna get in trouble.
All right, man. Well, like I said, thank you for joining us. Thank you for marching, and keep doing what you do. Absolutely.
All right, woo. Much love, y'all.
All right, take care.
Take care.
So that's Reverend Rite. Real good dude. I'm going to say this: if anybody else wants to join the conversation, I'm open to having other guests on future live streams. We usually do this stuff on YouTube, and just recently we've been able to to have conversations on Facebook. So. It's fucking awesome. What up, Chaos?
Nothing much, just waking up.
Right on. I'm hungover again. I was drinking last night, and
sir, are an alcoholic. Just kidding.
What? Don Chaos, Reverend Rite, I'm Beastmaster. You guys are awesome. Make sure you check out CarnivalSpirits.com, and always remember to fuck the fuck off, motherfuckers.